Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending Harris County Precinct 1's Northeast Trails Exploration Community Meeting.
Buenas tardes a todos. Muchas gracias por asistir a nuestra reunión esta noche del Condado de Harris, Precinto 1, la reunión de los senderos del noroeste de Houston.
I am Lisa Kasanovich with the Houston Parks Board. We are assisting Harris County Precinct 1 with this study, and we will begin at 6:05 p.m.
Yo me llamo Lisa Kasanovich de Houston Parks Board y nosotros estamos ayudando al Precinto 1 del Condado de Harris en este estudio y vamos a empezar a las 6:05 p.m.
What you're seeing in front of you is a rolling slideshow of some pictures that the Houston Parks Board's photographers took of Carpenters Bayou and surrounding areas. So we will have that scrolling as people are entering. Just something to get the creativity flowing and let people see some great images.
Lo que se ven ahora es algunas diapositivas o fotos del área de Bayou de Carpenters, lo que sacaron otros fotógrafos, algo para ayudarles con la creatividad y todo.
For those of you who are joining on the phone, you will be hearing English and Spanish only for a little bit until we get started with the meeting. We have people that perhaps are joining us in both languages. So you will be hearing English and Spanish just for a little bit.
Para los que están participando por teléfono, van a escuchar dos idiomas, inglés y español, por un ratito, solamente para la primera parte de la reunión, pero si participen por otra forma, se pueden elegir la interpretación.
For those who just joined us, again, we will start in about a minute, and this is the Northeast Trails Exploration Community Meeting. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Y para los que ya entraron, acabaron de entrar, bienvenidos. Vamos a empezar en un minuto y estamos en la reunión de explorar la reunión comunitaria del noroeste de Houston.
Just a reminder, when you entered this meeting, you were on mute. Just please keep yourself on mute just to eliminate background noise. We also have the chat available if you're joining us on a smartphone or a computer, so you can participate with us in that way.
Como recordatorio, cuando entran ya están en silencio. Entonces, estamos haciendo eso para eliminar cualquier ruido, pero se puede participar por el chat y escribir algo detrás de la.
And for those who perhaps went to San Jacinto College for the community meeting, we appreciate you still joining us in a virtual manner, and we appreciate your understanding that it needed to be switched to virtual. So thank you so much.
Y para los que están participando en persona, nos agradecemos a ustedes por su por entender que tuvimos que cambiarlo a un modo virtual. Entonces, gracias por eso también.
Okay, it is 6:05 p.m., so we will officially get started.
Ok, listo. Entonces ya son las 6:05 y vamos a empezar.
Okay, so we want to let meeting attendees know that we will be offering interpretation in English and Spanish during today's session. For those presenting today, like myself, you can help by speaking at a moderate pace, loudly and clearly. For all participants, please don't suffer in silence. If the interpretation is not working or you're having technical difficulties, please let us know in the chat so our interpreters can help you. In a moment, the Zoom interpretation will be turned on and you'll see a globe in the lower part of your screen like this with a message about language interpretation. Click on the globe, select the language in which you'd like to participate to listen during the session. If you're joining through a smartphone or tablet, you can click on the 3 dots on the bottom right of your screen. Select language interpretation and make sure to click done and you'll be all set.
Queremos anunciar que hoy vamos a ofrecer interpretación en inglés y español durante la reunión de hoy. Para los presentadores de hoy, como yo, pueden ayudar hablando a ritmo moderado, voz alta y claramente. Y para todos los participantes, por favor, no sufren en silencio. Si la interpretación no está funcionando o si están teniendo otras dificultades técnicas, déjenos saber en el chat para poder asistirles. En un momento se encenderá la interpretación de Zoom y verán un globo como eso en la parte baja de sus pantallas con un mensaje sobre la interpretación de idiomas. Hagan clic en el globo y elijan el idioma en el que les gustaría participar y escuchar durante esta sesión. Si nos acompaña a través de su celular o tablet, pueden hacer clic en los 3 puntos en la esquina derecha de la parte baja de su pantalla. Elija interpretación de idiomas y después seleccione su idioma. Asegúrense de hacer clic en finalizado y estarán listos.
Gracias.
Thank you.
All right, so again, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Lisa Kasanovich, Outreach Manager with the Houston Parks Board. I am your MC and host for this evening. Of course, the host of this study is Harris County Precinct 1. We're gathered here this evening for the Northeast Trails Exploration Study with the mission of connecting people to parks. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, and especially those joining us on the phone. We understand that people might have gone to the San Jacinto College North Campus for the meeting and are now calling in. If so, we really appreciate y'all's effort to join, and we appreciate your understanding that we had to transition this meeting to virtual. There will be a couple times in the meeting where we will ask for questions, and so the way to unmute yourself if you're on the phone is *6. I will say that a couple times, but please hold on muting yourself until when we have the opportunity for questions and answers. The way we'll do that is I'll see if there's any questions in the chat. Then I'll ask people if they have questions on Zoom by raising their hand. There's a little raised hand icon you can use, and then we'll go to people on the phone. So there'll be a couple opportunities for that. So we appreciate you sitting through our presentation. So first, as I mentioned, the reason why we're here this evening is because Harris County Precinct 1 is funding a study called the Northeast Trails Exploration Study, and it's examining the potential for a linear trail network in this bubble. This map may seem small, but it's a very, very large area, lots of different communities in this map. And so we know people joining us are definitely from a wide variety of places. You'll also see we highlight some great parks in this map, not just there's county parks, state parks, cities, and city parks. So we've got a trifecta here of green spaces. And so we wanted to call that out as well, because connecting to parks is important. And since we mentioned parks, we do actually have a poll question for people. I will read that poll question aloud in case anyone has difficulties accessing the poll. And you can also feel free to write your answer in the chat in case the poll question does not pop up on the screen. I know that people joining on the phone calling in can't see the poll question, but you can answer in your mind or tell us after the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that first poll question. So it should automatically come up on your screen if you're participating in a Zoom. And we have a healthy 47 people in the meeting. So that's really exciting. So the question is, which park do you visit the most? And so we call out the names on the screen here. We have Jewson Park, Jean Green Park, Sheldon Lake State Park, operated by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, Brock Park, and Eisenhower Park. That is by no means all of the green spaces in this area. So please write in the chat if there is a different park that you visit. And it doesn't, we just want to know which park do you visit the most. It doesn't even have to be on the map. We just kind of want to know. So, and also, by the way, it's really important that you do answer these poll questions because it helps inform our study. We want, community input. It will help us direct us on how to move forward with the study. So we want to know where you go. I see someone typed in the chat, Brenda Dewson, thanks so much. And it is a beautiful park. Gonzalo said Westlake, and I see people have answered the chat. So I'm answered the question on the poll. So I'm going to go ahead and share those results. We had the highest number of people visited Dewson Park. So that's really good to know. And then we had people also writing Dewson in the chat. So looks like Dewson is the winner. We always like to just know where people like to go, even if it's not nearby in their community. So really quickly, we want to let you know what exactly we'll be doing this evening. And so we're going to do a little round robin of introductions. We want you to know who we are, and we want to know who you are. We're also going to introduce the study a little more in depth. We're going to talk about the goals of the study, give an overview of kind of what it's about, and then talk about schedule. So y'all know kind of when it began and when it's supposed to conclude. Then we'll transition in talking about potential opportunities for connectivity. We want your help with us, narrowing down our priorities for the study. And then if we have enough people, which it looks like we might, 46 people, might do some breakout groups. So I know everyone always loves those. All right, so we have another poll question. I'm going to go ahead and deploy that. So again, that should pop up on your screen. And that question is, how did you hear about this meeting? We do various forms of outreach to help promote the meeting, and we like to learn, did that work? How did you hear about it? And should we change something we do for the next meeting? So I see, a flyer. All right, very good. My colleague Courtney with the Houston Parks Board was out and about in various communities posting flyers. So I'm glad people saw the flyers. And so we sent out Harris County Precinct 1 sent out email blast. We were posting on social media. Maybe you heard about it from someone else. Like we said, flyers were posted. We also had yard signs installed at parks. So we're curious if anyone saw those, but maybe people aren't visiting parks as much because it's so hot. And then we also mail postcards out. The precinct sent a large number of postcards out. All right, so I'm going to end that poll and share those results. Okay, 33% of people in the meeting heard about it through an email. So that's good to know. And I see people heard about other ways. So either way you heard about it, we are happy you make time to be here with us this evening. So continuing to move through, we have a special welcome from a special somebody that Megan Palathra will introduce from Harris County Precinct 1. She is the project manager for the Northeast Trails Exploration Study. And so she'll take it away. Turning it over to you, Megan.
Thanks, Lisa. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I know everyone's busy and there's a lot going on, so we definitely appreciate your time and your input. As Lisa said, my name is Megan Palathra. I am a project coordinator and planner with Harris County Precinct 1. And we're happy to introduce the study to you this evening. And I'm also happy to share a welcome message from Commissioner Rodney Ellis.
Thank you. All right, let's see. True test, see if it plays. And then Megan, give me a thumbs up if you hear it.
Hello, I'm Rodney Ellis. Every Harris County community should have access to quality green spaces, including parks and trails. They improve community health, build social connections, and expand environmental safeguards. Unfortunately, not all Harris County neighborhoods and communities have equitable access to green spaces. Precinct 1 is committed to enhancing green spaces, especially in neighborhoods that have historically been neglected. To improve your Northeast community, Precinct 1 is studying how a trail system could better connect communities in your area along Carpenters Bayou. Tonight and throughout this process, we want to hear from you to help us make this project a reality. Your input will guide us in exploring and studying a future hike and bike trail system along Carpenters Bayou, connecting neighborhoods to regional parks, recreational activities, and other destinations. Thank you for joining us this evening, and be sure to tell your neighbors and friends to get involved with this project to improve your community. Also, thank you to the Houston Parks Board for managing this project. I hope you have a wonderful and productive evening. Thank you.
Thanks to the commissioner. All right, so Megan.
Thanks, Lisa. And as Commissioner mentioned, we want to hear from you and your neighbors on this study. And so that's really what tonight's meeting is about. We want to do just that. And so for the meeting this evening, our meeting goals include introduce the study to you, learn about your community, and introduce some ideas on potential trail opportunities. And lastly, we want your input and feedback on the study so that it reflects your needs and those of your neighbors when it comes to looking at future trail connections in Northeast Harris County Precinct 1 in your neighborhoods and communities. So to do a few introductions here, as Lisa had mentioned, let's see here. Harris County Precinct 1 is sponsoring this study. And so this was kind of it developed out of a need for trail projects in this particular area and a lack of projects historically. So this is kind of our effort to bring about some projects in this particular area of need. Harris County Precinct 1 would like to acknowledge Houston Parks Board as the project manager. And I know we have several Parks Board employees on, if you guys want to kind of give a wave. Thanks, Lisa, John. And I know we also have several Clark Condon employees on the line, and they are going to be doing the design work and analysis work for this particular study. So please feel free to give us a wave from the Clark Condon team.
Spencer, got a wave.
Perfect, perfect, thank you. And sounds like we also want to hear from you. So please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat and tell us which neighborhood that you either work in or live in or play in. And we'd like to kind of hear from you on where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I see someone requested that in the chat. So we had already planned on doing that. So that's great. So again, please write your name. Please let us know which neighborhood you live in. We'd love to get to know you.
So while we have those chat messages come in, I'd like to go ahead and acknowledge Harris County Flood Control District, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and Generation Park as stakeholders throughout this process. So we engaged these entities early on, knowing that they hold large parcels of land in this area and would be critical to future trail development and a larger trail network in this region. So we have been coordinating with them closely through the early part of the study phase, and we'll be continuing to chat with them as the study progresses. And as Commissioner mentioned earlier, Precinct 1 really wants to ensure safe access to trails and green space for all of Harris County Precinct 1 communities, particularly those who have been historically underserved communities. So the goals of this study are really to find out about what you would like to see in future trail projects and identify opportunities that provide safe connections to key locations including schools and parks, provide healthy recreation opportunities through hike and bike trails, safe pedestrian and bicycle routes, as well as creating linear park space. While this study does not look into funding or construction of specific projects, it does provide a roadmap of how an overall network may be possible based on your input and feasibility of potential opportunities.
Thank you so much, Megan. And before we get into the study process, I see a lot of messages coming in through the chat. I also want to recognize any staff of any other elected officials that are here in the meeting with us. I see we have Cindy with Harris County Precinct 2, Commissioner Adrian Garcia. So we appreciate you being here. If you're with another elected official, you can unmute yourself or just introduce yourself in the chat so that we know you're here on behalf of other elected officials. We know this work takes a village.
This is Erica Foster with Harris County Precinct 1, Commissioner Rodney Ellis.
Hi, Erica. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening, and thanks for your support on outreach for this study. All right, great. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Mary Kylers with Clark Condon. She's going to take you through hefty amount of slides to get you acquainted with the study and the area that we're studying, and we'll do a poll question, and then after Mary is done presenting, we will have an opportunity to hear from you. So again, if you have questions while she's presenting through her slides, please just make note of them on a notepad or write them in the chat. I know for people on the phone, just make sure to write them down because we will have an opportunity for you to unmute yourself, press *6 for those on the phone, and then that way we can get your questions after her presentation. So Mary, take it away.
All right, thank you, Lisa. So to start everyone off, we have been working on this project since February 2021. We have several steps within this process. And the first part was gathering information and analyzing the existing conditions. So we've spent several months exploring the area, looking for opportunities for trail networks. And at this point, we have an understanding of the existing context. And we would like to now review the opportunities that we have identified and begin to develop that preliminary program. So we have a beginning set of alignments for trails that we want to review with everyone. You are all experts in your community, so we would love to hear your feedback for where you think trails are most appropriate and will meet your needs. And so this is our first community engagement. After that, we will take the feedback we've received and refine the alignments and come back with 2 additional public meetings, one in September and one in October. This will help refine the overall master plan. It is a long-term vision. And as part of that process, we will also be identifying opportunities for phasing and implementation so that we can help the precinct plan for the future and help identify opportunities for implementation in the future as well. Next slide. So why trails? Trails offer several different benefits. Most importantly, improving connectivity. And this will give an alternative method of transportation in the area in addition to the roadway system. So we are hoping to link parks, schools, places of work throughout the Northeast region and offer a different way to experience this particular area of Houston. There is also the opportunity for increasing exercise and recreation. As Lisa pointed out on the first slide, there are several large parks that are within this vicinity, and our goal is to provide connectivity with a trail system that creates a linear park system in between each of these park spaces.
And we have a poll question also. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy that question. Again, apologies for people joining on the phone, but I will always read out the question and the answers so you can answer in your head. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll question. So again, that is a question that should pop up on your screen. The question is, what's the main reason you use trails? Our answers are exercise, recreation, commuting, nature, or other. And other you would write in the chat. I now realize that you probably people who use trails use it for more than one, but I think I only allowed you to give one answer. So if you have more than one, write in the chat. Interesting, and these pictures on these slides are from a beautiful trail within Brock Park, the Greens Bayou Greenway. And I've taken my mom there. I've taken everyone I know there. It's a beautiful little ribbon through the woods kind of nature trail. So really, really scenic and beautiful. You know, if anyone hasn't been out there yet, definitely go. Just want to put in a pitch for that trail. I see people typing in the chat. The question, we usually keep questions open for 1 minute. So I will go ahead and end that poll. I just see a couple more answers coming in. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share those results. Exercise and nature, top choices, same here. So, and I see we have someone here who uses it for commuting. So it'll definitely be interesting to hear your perspective since you use trails to go to work or other places. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and we can move on to the next slide.
So trails come in several different forms. You can have trail surfacing that are more of a natural surface element, similar to what you would see in a state park atmosphere. There is also the opportunity of using concrete trails, which are easier for the commuting and large volumes of people which may be moving throughout a space. There's also, in some instances, the need for integrating boardwalks. As Lisa mentioned, this particular project was located in an area that had wetlands. So being respectful of the natural environment, we can adapt the trail surfacing to protect areas that have wetlands and other sensitive habitats. And then finally, there are also options for integrating slow street solutions, which will allow people to utilize streets as the avenue for movement, in addition to cars, by slowing down the traffic. We see different types of trail surfacing integrated throughout this trail network. It will not be a single type of surface. It'll be selected based on appropriateness for location. So these are the types of elements that we are exploring within this large network of trails. Another element that we are taking into consideration are crossings. There are various streets throughout this region, from neighborhood streets, which would utilize the street crossing shown in the upper left image, or streets that have slightly larger traffic volumes, which may require signalized pedestrian crossings. And then there's also within this vicinity streets that are like the Beltway and US 90 that will require crossing at major intersections to bypass these large infrastructures. And so there'll be streetlights, crossings at streetlights. And finally, where appropriate along the bayous, we will also utilize crossing underneath the streets themselves. There are some hindrances to this, which we can explore in a little bit, but providing safe passage beneath bridges where appropriate is something that we also look for when designing these trail systems. Another element of the trail systems is creating a sense of place. In addition to having the large linear park network, there's also the need for creating opportunities for rest, providing benches and picnic tables throughout the project, and then also creating character and introducing some of the metal work like you see here of the different leaf patterns and the birds This provides an opportunity for identification along the trail, and it becomes areas for meeting points and accessing the trails as well. So as part of our process, I mentioned that we visited many areas within the project region. And what we were looking to identify are, what are the opportunities? Where are the parks and the schools and the large residential communities? And how do we provide connectivity between each of these elements and provide safe passage for walking and biking in between them? So focusing on knitting together this network of trails and linking each of these elements.
By the way, Mary, all the pictures we've shown thus far are trails and places in Houston, correct?
Correct. They are all of trails in Houston, and the pictures here on the screen are from spaces within the study area as well. And also as part of this, we analyzed any existing conditions that may be barriers. And this largely fell within the category of large infrastructure. For example, Beltway 8 is a barrier limiting the opportunities for crossing through this north-south corridor. There are also other large roadways within this vicinity, including US 90 and Business 90, which is also paralleled by a Union Pacific Railroad. So each of these corridors are difficult to traverse. So part of our study is trying to find the appropriate locations to cross each of these elements safely. There are other challenges within the existing conditions that we are looking at in depth, and they include locations for road crossings. There are swale crossings associated with Harris County flood control channels and tributaries that connect into these channels. And then also analyzing all of the existing road bridges where they cross Carpenters Bayou and any of the existing flood control drainage channels to ensure that we have adequate clearance for pedestrians and bicyclists to safely cross underneath. This picture here you can see is of Business 90, and it's a very large roadway and would be one of those that would be difficult to cross without some type of signalization.
And I also just want to reemphasize for those on the phone, we can post a PDF of this presentation, and we are recording this presentation so we can share it after the meeting. I know we're taking people through a lot of maps and images. Mary's doing a fantastic job of describing them. And so that way people on the phone can visualize it, but just wanted to note that.
And to provide a little more detail on these more difficult existing conditions, we'll walk through a series of images of some of the locations we've encountered. For example, this is Carpenters Bayou at Wood Forest Boulevard. What you can see in this photograph is that the banks of the bayou are steeply sided, and there are utilities that parallel the bridge, which are obstructions and have low clearances. So in instances like this, future planning can be noted to raise bridges and utilities in order to provide adequate clearance for trails. Here is another picture of an existing bridge. This is at Wallaceville Road, and it is paralleled by an above ground water line. What you don't see is that there's also a pipeline in the ground as well, immediately adjacent to this. So navigating multiple utilities along roadways is something that can be difficult and must be taken into account as part of this design process. Other elements are crossing drainage channels that may connect into Harris County flood control right-of-way. This is an outfall that comes from Beltway 8 and connects to Carpenters Bayou. So changing these cross sections to facilitate trails along the top of bank are elements that we study to make sure the feasibility exists for making those changes. In addition to the large outfalls, there's also numerous small outfalls that empty into Carpenters Bayou. And within this space, some of them can be modified and others we must find alternative routes to navigate around. So we've tried to document as many of these as we have can find along the bayou to help inform this initial planning process. Other aspects of this is trying to maximize connectivity along Harris County flood control channels. In some instances, the channels themselves are too narrow to support a trail along the top of berm. And this is one of those locations. It is a channel that runs east-west between US 90 and Business 90. And it was something that we investigated, but determined that it was not suitable for trail placement in this area. Other areas of existing condition that we take into consideration are the stability of side slopes. There are some instances along Carpenters Bayou where there has been evidence of some movement. So documenting these so that we have adequate planning and budgeting for future trail installations is critical. And finally, one of the main hindrances that we've seen to integrating a connected trail system within this region is the large network of roadside swales that exist. So understanding where all of these are and trying to find opportunities to improve or take advantage of larger right-of-ways that may facilitate trails is something that we are also investigating.
Okay, thank you so much, Mary. I know that was a lot. Just to recap, she talked about the study, the process that we're going through, which listed our timeline. She talked about different types of trails, benefits of trails, types of trail amenities that can go along trails. She took you through some slides of existing conditions, including major barriers, such as the highways. She also talked about various crossings that we need to contend with, such as Lodge Bridge and utility. And she also showcased some of the drainage features in the area. So just wanted to kind of recap for everyone. So thank you so much, Mary, for taking us through all that. We do want to break for some questions and answers. And well, if we have answers, but definitely questions. I have been scanning the chat. I don't think I've seen any questions yet. So if you have a question right now, now's the time to kind of do a raised hand. Use your raised hand feature. I believe you do that by clicking the 3 dots next to your video and there's a hand that pops up. However, if you can't figure it out, just unmute yourself and speak up. And for those on the phone, that's *6 to unmute yourself. So I will stay silent to see if anyone has any questions.
Looks like we have one question in the chat, Lisa.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. I had my head down while I was listening. What is the length of the proposed trail? So Olga, thank you so much for the question. So we are studying a region for a potential trail network. So while it's not really focused on one trail in particular, although we are focused on Carpenters Bayou, we're also focused on connections in and out of the neighborhoods east and west of Carpenters. Now, Mary, I don't know if you know what that potential trail network number could be. Do you have it?
I do not have the potential trail length at the top of my head, but I can tell you that when we go into the focus groups, we have maps that list the trail links in the immediate area, so you can start to see the distances between certain locations. So that's something you can see in a little more depth, but we have at the moment miles and miles of trails identified as opportunities that we are planning to explore in more in depth.
I see a phone number unmuted themselves. So I was going to see if they had a question. Okay. A3, yep, you just remuted yourself. Okay. Another question from the chat, will lighting be part of the trails? So again, this is, a study of potential trails in a lot of different areas. So I showed a map at the beginning. This region that we're studying is really, really extensive. Westlake Houston Parkway on the top, all the way down, to Jean Green Park on the bottom. It's really, really broad. So these potential future trails have, opportunity. We don't know yet what amenities could be along which trails. So first the first step is finding out if these are even possible, if they're feasible, and if people would use them, if people think they're needed for their communities. And so the precinct wants to know that. And then they can dig in, to check to see, what amenities could be along the trails. Megan or Mary, do you want to add anything? All right. Okay, good. So I see the next question is, will the study include or connect to the Sheldon Sports Complex next to Sheldon Lake State Park? I think, Mary, you could probably answer that one.
Yes, we do have a potential trail that would connect to the sports complex and also to the state park property as well.
Okay, great. I see Olga also asked about how the trails will benefit her. I think we would have to look up the boundaries of the Edgewood Village subdivision to see how this would interact with her community, unless Megan or Mary, that subdivision off the top of your head. I know there's tons of different subdivisions in the study area. Okay. And Megan, you unmuted yourself. Were you going to say anything?
I was just going to say that we'll have a chance to look into the maps a little bit further on, and then we can kind of look through and talk through maybe some ideas that you might have, Olga, on what you might like to see in your neighborhood as well.
Thank you, Megan, for the reminder. Yes, for those who joined a little bit later, we will have an opportunity to dig deeper. We're we're dividing the study area into four areas, and because it's a big study area, and so you'll have an opportunity to be with people from your nearby communities to talk further. Especially since we have a good number of people in the meeting. We got another question. So I'll answer just a couple more because we need to move on to the rest of Mary's presentation. There's more information y'all need to know, and we want to hear from y'all again. So real quick, when will the proposed trail project begin? So just re-emphasizing that this is a study. And so the very first step in determining if a trail, like the one behind me, is even feasible is by studying the area, learning the opportunities, learning the challenges, and boots on the ground approach, checking to see if it could work and vetting that with the community. And so that's what we are doing now. So there's got to be this step first before an identified trail network can be funded. And so bear with us. We've got to do this study first because we know you want your voice to be heard, and it's important to us that you are heard. So we're going to take this first step for the study, and then at the end, it'll propose, opportunities for the trails that the precinct can look into. So that is kind of the process. The last question I'll get really quickly, under the path type, ISIS didn't see gravel as a surface. Is this part of the natural trail section? Mary, do you want to take that one?
Yes, it can be part of that natural trail section. So in some areas where the soil is suitable, you could utilize existing soil, and in other areas, adding some gravel would be an acceptable surface to provide that low impact and also having a stable trail surface.
Okay, great, fantastic. And again, as a reminder, people will be able to dig a little deeper into their area and their communities in the focus groups. We do have enough people for that. So hold those questions on specifics about your neighborhood and areas until then. But I think, my general statements about the purpose of the study and the process helped answer some other questions in the chat. So Mary, I think we're just going to go on and move through the rest of your slides, seeing as it's almost 6:50.
All right. So part of the process as well is, we identified potential trail alignments, and also we looked at what projects are underway. So Precinct 1 has already embarked on some projects that are under construction. the work that you may have seen along Tidwell Road. I know that the trails are in process right now. There is other planned work to occur along near Wallaceville Road with the addition of a new pedestrian bridge that is under design that would connect people to the school in that vicinity. And you may have seen in your area, the ground was recently broken for a project near Dewson Park. So there are several projects underway. Trails are important to the precinct. So these are the ones that are actively happening now. And with the goal of identifying some other trails as part of the study for implementation in the future. And to show you some photographs of that work that is occurring now. This is the trail near Dewson Parkway. It is over 1.5 miles of trail that is being installed and will provide connections to the Summerwood neighborhood so that the missing gaps for people can now connect from Summerwood all the way to Dewson Park. And then several of you, since this construction's been ongoing for a few months now, I'm sure have seen the work that has been occurring along Tidwell Road. Some of the 8-foot wide sidewalks that are on either side of the street are already installed and open. So those are some other alternatives for providing on-street connections as well within this vicinity.
All right, and so we have a quick poll question since we're on this picture of the of some of the recently completed portion of Tidwell Road. We want to know if people have visited, have you walked or biked these new sections along Tidwell Road? Various parts of it are in construction, various parts are completed. So we know it's a specific area, and there's some people in this meeting that, you know, probably don't use that area, but for those who are in the meeting that do, we want to know in the poll question, have you walked or biked the trails along Tidwell Road? And so that should be on your screen to answer. Again, answer in the chat if you don't see that pop up on your screen. So it's a simple yes or no question. So I'm going to go ahead, and that's been up long enough. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. And so we had a few people that have. So that's good to hear. In Precinct 1, you've got a few users. And I'm sure as the entire network gets built out, you know, the rest of the work gets completed along Tidwell, we will see more usage. All right.
Okay, so now we'll dive into some of the trail opportunities that we have identified. I will give a high overview of where these connectivity opportunities are. And when we break out into the focus groups, you will be able to dive into more details with your focus group leader and discuss the opportunities in your immediate neighborhood. So for some orientation, the yellow road that comes right through the middle is Beltway 8. You can see Sheldon Lake State Park right here in the middle, Lake Houston on the upper right corner. So all of the trails that are shown in purple are the same active Precinct 1 trails that we saw on the previous slide. And all of the new trail opportunities are shown in red. So the first thing that you'll see is that we have some connectivity planned along Carpenters Bayou that will increase connectivity to Jean Green Park and also to Sheldon Lake State Park. But we also have identified opportunities along Lake Houston Parkway for a east-west connection that can tie together Dewson Park all the way to Brock Park and the Garrett Detention Basin, which is a parcel of land owned by Harris County Flood Control. So on these off-street opportunities, we are looking for areas either along the bayou channels, Harris County Flood Control drainage channels, center point easements. So the two very straight red lines that go north-south near the Garrett Detention Basin and at the bottom of the screen, those are within center point easements. But the idea is that these spaces become part of that linear park network. And within these, we would hope to see concrete trails with some of the resting areas with the trailheads and the metalwork for placemaking integrated along this park system.
I saw people ask if they could discuss trail amenities more. So definitely in a future meeting.
Right. And, sometimes it's hard to read maps on a screen. So we've also integrated some drone images that can show this existing context. So this is one of the Harris County flood control channels that extends from Brock Park all the way to the Sheldon ISD campus. So we think there is an opportunity to provide a trail along this drainage easement with connections into the neighborhoods that border this drainage channel on the north and south side.
It was just brought to my attention that we missed a poll question. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy that real quickly. Thank you so much, John, for bringing it to my attention. Real quick, question 5. We've got which places would you like to walk or bike? And the answers being grocery store, work, your place of work, school, parks, worship, or other. And so please note that if you answer other, we expect to see an answer in the chat. So please remember that. But we want to know where you'd want to walk or bike to, or rollerblade. All forms, all modes of transportation. All right, so that's a really easy question. So I'm just going to go ahead and end that poll and share some of those results. Some of you aren't answering, but I know you're in the meeting. So parks, yeah, parks are the place that you'd walk or bike to. That's good to hear, because connectivity to parks is definitely part of the study, but we know there's other places and communities where people need to get to. All right, Mary, sorry for that interruption. Moving on.
All right, so this is another one of the views. This is near Wallaceville Road. In the small red lines, you can see the planned work that Precinct 1 is working or that is under design right now. And in the bold red line is what we're seeing as additional trail opportunities to connect the neighborhoods all the way north to Jean Green Park. We also envision an opportunity of connecting the trail along Sheldon Lake State Park, adjacent to Pineland Road, crossing Garrett Road, and extending all the way north to Generation Park. This would be one of those linear park corridors, a primary corridor that would parallel Carpenters Bayou. So those are the opportunities that we see off street, and you can dive into those in more detail in your groups. We also analyzed opportunities along street, and this could look like the cross sections that are occurring along Tidwell Road. They could also take other alternative forms of bike lanes, slow streets. So the final cross sections are yet to be determined. We are primarily trying to identify the need for this connectivity within the region. So once again, the active Precinct 1 trails are shown in purple, and the proposed potential opportunities are shown in yellow. And part of this analysis is trying to provide connections into the neighborhoods. For example, looking to provide a connection that goes from the entrance of Brock Park throughout the neighborhood on a street, or continuing the improvements that are presently planned along C.E. King Parkway and Tidwell Road, so that we can lengthen that cross-section of sidewalk system and further connect into the communities. There's also some connections planned on the north side of this segment that would lead to the Generation Park property, where there is also a trail network planned. So part of our process has been working with them to understand what trails they have already built and plan to integrate in the future as well. And once again, a few pictures of what that trail system may look like, either sidewalks along streets, bike lanes, or even slow street opportunities.
And we have a poll question. So don't worry, we only have 2 poll questions left. So that's it, I promise. So please continuing answering the questions or writing in the chat. I do see people are writing their answers in the chat, which we appreciate. So we want to know what the farthest is you would go like to walk or bike to a park. So what is the farthest you would walk or bike to a park? As we know, you can get places a bit quicker on bikes. So we wanted to be sure to include walking and biking. Our options we provided are a fourth a mile, a half mile, 1 mile, and 2 miles. I kind of slid in there another option of none of the above. I prefer to drive because some people just, you know, they won't, they just are more comfortable in their vehicle. So I wanted to put that out there as well. I see in the chat, we got 5 minutes walking, 10 on bike. Brenda's got it down to a science. So that's really, really good. So I'm going to go ahead and end that poll and share the results. So a lot of people would go pretty far. They'd go up to 2 miles to walk or bike to a park. So it's good to know. All right, Mary.
All right. And the final layer of this analysis that we are reviewing right now is future opportunities. These are opportunities that we would consider would require partnerships with different groups. These groups may be Generation Park, Texas Parks and Wildlife, or even TxDOT or flood control. And part of this comes, for example, Little York Road is not currently extended all the way to Sheldon Lake Park, neither is Tidwell Road. So knowing that in the future, those roadways will be expanded and understand that trails should be added along those future roadways for connectivity. Also understanding that US 90 and Business 90 are currently hindrances to moving throughout the area, but reworking Business 90 could improve connectivity. So partnering with the state to redo that cross-section at some time in the future is an opportunity that we would like to identify now. And as I mentioned, these are the different groups that we consider as potential partners. If there are other partners, whether that be MUDs or MUDs or HOAs or anything along those lines, we would love to hear from you so that we can add you to the list. Our goal is to have the most cohesive trail system that we can achieve within this region. And what would these other trails look like? Reworking Business 90 in order to have bike lanes and sidewalks would be a focus of that planning process. Also understanding where the existing trail or where the trails are proposed within Generation Park so that we are connecting to them at the appropriate location. So working hand in hand with the different potential partners in this planning process is critical. And then, as you mentioned, we've been in contact with Sheldon Lake State Park to ensure that we understand what is feasible for this site. Balancing their mission of conservation with providing additional connectivity through and around the property is something that we're hoping to achieve with further discussions. So when you take all of these different elements, the current work, the proposed opportunities off-street and on-street, and the future potential, it starts to create a very cohesive network. And you can see how all the different colors of the lines overlay on this map. And if you flip to the next page, you can really see what the connectivity could be, and really knitting together the communities and providing access to all of the parks within this region.
Thank you so much, Mary. So I'm going to launch the very last poll question, and then we're going to go into breakout groups per region. We want you to be with other communities in your focus group because this area is so big. So we'll get to that in a moment. But I think everyone, I think that was great, Mary. You walked them through all the different, basically it was like a layered cake, right? There's all these different layers: on-street trails, off-street trails, future down the road type of trails way in the future. And then here's this potential network of what it could look like at the end of the day. So the finished baked product. So that's really exciting. Just want to still emphasize that this is a study of potential connectivity. So it's great to see all those lines on the map. The question I deployed was, which zip code are people from? So I see a lot of people in the chat are from 77015 representing. And I'm going to go ahead and end the poll because that was pretty quick to answer. In the poll we had 77044. So it's great to have, regardless of where you live, it's great, or work in this area, it's great to have you with us. So at this, there's a beautiful picture. We also want to make sure to share contact information. I think Megan posted a link to the project webpage earlier in the chat. But there is a nice project study. There's a nice study webpage on the Precinct's website listed here. So you can definitely go there for more information. And then there's also an email in which you can submit comments. And so Megan will review those. All right, so we're right on track for this meeting. And so at this time, we're going to go into breakout groups for 15 minutes. And so these breakout groups are self-selecting. There's a lot of information on the slide. So Mary's going to walk you through it and how you can go into your particular breakout group focus area.
Okay, so we wanted to divide this in areas so we can zoom in a little more detail on the proposed alignments. So we have 4 areas. They are divided north-south by the Beltway. And then on the west side of the Beltway, there are 2 areas. It's Focus Area 2, which is north of Tidwell, and then Focus Area 3, which is south of Tidwell. And then on the east side of the Beltway, Focus Area 1 is above US 90, and then Focus Area 4 is everything south of US 90. So hopefully you know which community you are in. Lisa will deploy the breakout sessions so you can click which one you want to join.
Yep, so I just opened all of the rooms. So again, you've been invited to join the room. Spencer is leading room 1, John is leading room 2, Megan's leading room 3, and Sheila is leading room 4. If you are having trouble identifying where you live in this area, you can unmute yourself or speak up and I can put you in the room. So again, you need to select one of those rooms. Unless you are listening to this presentation in Spanish, then you stay in this room. That is the only reason why people should be left in this room. So those, and then those on the phone as well, Mary, because we have people on the phone probably from all regions. So we're gonna conduct our little, our own all regions kind of focus group in this meeting, in this main room. And the rest of the people should be in joining other meeting rooms. Other focus areas. So I see some messages coming in. Yes, Erica. So speak up if you need to be assigned to, if you need help with going to a particular room. I'm going to start calling out names. Let's see. Sue Thice, we have you. I'm still in this room. Pam, Maria Walls. How do you get into the rooms? Good question, Isis. So there should have been a message that popped up on your screen to join a room based on this focus area. If Isis, if you want to unmute yourself or type in the chat, which area you live in, if you can see on this map, then I can put you in the room actually. 4, okay, great. Oh, this is working out great. All right, I will assign you to 4, goodbye. All right, so I've got 2 requests. So we still have, I know Maria's with the North Channel Library. All right, Pam, 4, gotcha, putting you in 4, goodbye. This is working out great, Mary. All right, Miss Betty Bland, I see you're on. And Ms. Travers, I see you're on. Gerard, Christian Valenzuela. Miss Betty Bland, do you know which area you're in? Where I can put you in? Focus area 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Number 1.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Bland. Sorry we couldn't be in person. I'm glad you're still able to join us on the computer.
Right.
All right, I'm moving you to 1. Okay.
Gerard is also in area 1.
All right, Gerard. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, I just sent y'all, it says sent y'all assigned room, so you should accept it on your screen. There we go. All right. I can't look up where North Channel Library is. Do you know, Mary? I can put Maria in there.
I will check for you.
Let's see. And then we can go ahead and probably get.
I think it's 4. Woodforest Boulevard North and Wallaceville Road.
4. Okay. Thank you, Maria. And thank you for joining us and helping to advertise the meeting.
Not a problem. Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So Mary, I think, and then we have Miss Travers, Miss Jennifer Travers. I see you're still in the meeting room. So Miss Travers, do you know which room you should go in? Or which region? That's okay. All right, Mary, I think we spent about 5 minutes doing that. So you want me to stop sharing my screen so you can share your maps, and we'll do our own little focus group in this room for all regions.
All right, let me pull it up. Lisa, I am not seeing the share. Oh, there it is. The only one in a color. Right. Here we go. So everyone should be able to see the screen. I guess let's start. Who do we all have on within this focus group? We'd love to hear where you live so we can maybe zoom into those areas and take a little bit more in-depth look.
We have about 5 people on the phone. *6 is the way you unmute yourself on the phone. So again, press *6 if you're on the phone to unmute yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Kenneth Youngblood. I will be with the group with Jennifer Travis, please.
Oh, okay. You're in, yeah, room 1. Okay, let me move you. Thank you so much. 1 second.
Thank you.
Okay, I just moved him out. All right, good. So other people on the phone participating, want to unmute yourself, *6. Let us know if you should, if you're in a particular area.
Jennifer Travis group.
Okay, sure, we'll do. All right. Okay, and then, oh, 214 is Courtney. Okay, Pam is, all right. Place me in room 1. Okay. All right. So anyone, yeah, anyone else that's staying in this room, the phone numbers, we have 214-934-0794, 713-574-0168, and 832-453-6737. Oh yeah, sorry, one of them's Courtney. Okay.
I'm still here. Can you put me in room 1, please?
I know, Pam, I see that you're still here, and I am trying to put you in the room. I swear I did. Because it was showing you in room 4, and then
I know.
It clicked. Yeah, you're showing as gray for some reason. It shows you're already in room 1. Did anything pop up on your screen?
No, I'm still with you.
That's okay. Well, maybe Mary, maybe you want to give your input on, maybe Mary, you could just stay with us. I mean, because I can't, it's showing me that you're in room 1, but you're physically here with us in the main room.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we have Pam with us. Okay. And then the people on the phone, I also see Christian Valenzuela is with us also. So we just have a couple people, Mary, which is kind of what we intended. So, we intended hopefully a lot of people were in the breakout rooms.
Yeah, so Pam, you said that you would be in group 1. That was a rather large area. Is there a particular area you live in within that region?
Yes, I do. I live in a off of C. King Parkway, Parkway Forest neighborhood. Okay. Yes. And the reason I said Jennifer in room 1, because Jennifer Travis and myself, we were in class the early part of the summer, and we ventured out on a little community project. And so the community that we live in has a reservoir, and it's very wide. It has the little narrow water reservoir runs through it, but on the side it's perfect for a walking trail and to have like a skateboard park.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's very feasible for that. And not only that, it can be, whereas if Tidwell runs right down, well, on one side of Tidwell is another walking trail, on the opposite side is the reservoir. So we were thinking that maybe some kind of way, if they put a walk across Tidwell or something like that, it could connect it, because one side it is like a walking trail and it does go over into the other neighborhood, one side of the neighborhood, but on this side of the neighborhood that we're on is just a reservoir. And the reservoir is, like I say, it's feasible where you can put a walking trail and have a little skate park for the kids. And it's just empty space that can, it can be used as a trail.
Okay. Boy, I sure wish you could point this out to me on a map that I knew exactly where you were talking about.
Okay, it's, let me see if I can direct you exactly where it is. It is between, it's on Tidwell, but it's right after where the Beltway runs across, and Tidwell kind of dead end, but you coming back towards C. It's in between the Beltway where Tidwell dead end and C. King Drive, and it's in the neighborhood. It's on the side. Stephanie Cravers. Have you heard of Stephanie Cravers?
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's a little elementary school. It's like a beginner school for kids.
Oh.
And yes, and it's I can't think of the name of the street right now.
That's okay.
But
okay.
And it's close to the neighborhood Stonewood Manor. I think that's Stonewood, something like that. But it's like within this neighborhood we have different little sections in the neighborhood.
Okay. Well,
okay, but I wish I was where I could show you the picture, because I had my son-in-law. He's a photographer and he has all these drones. So he did an area of it, and he's also an engineer. So he did a little diagram for us, and we submitted it when we did our project, because that was our project, and it went over really well. So
excellent.
But Jennifer has all the information. That's why I was trying to get in the room with her.
I'm so sorry, but we can follow up with her. I'm pretty sure I met with her before this community meeting, and I'm pretty sure she mentioned what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So we can round back with her after you after the meeting. I have your email when you registered. So
Okay.
we can follow up with you. And
okay. And I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, go ahead.
No. And I said, and get some of the documentation that you're talking about, just so we ensure we're all talking about the same place.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
and one from the Commissioner Rodney Ellis' office, he came out and he walked the trail with us.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Unfortunately they moved him out. So
I know I'm so sad he's not there anymore. I was working really closely with him. And so you'll be seeing us a little bit more. Erica, his supervisor, is on this meeting. She's in a different room though. So they'll try to find a replacement for him. But no one can replace Juan, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he was real sweet about it too, because the day he came out, bless his heart, it had rained, it was muddy. I was like, y'all gonna walk through all of that? He was like, oh yeah, let's go walk. I was like, okay. So him, Jennifer and myself, and we walked it, and we showed him, what we had an idea for making use of that space.
Great. Well, good to know. I'm sure Mary's taking copious notes, and we can follow up with you and Ms. Travers after.
Okay.
Anyone else in this main room? I see that we still have Christian with us. I see Brenda is also with us, and we have a couple of phone numbers. Anyone else Mary, you want to ask the question again and see if anyone unmutes themselves?
Yes, sure. If there's anyone else left, if you can, tell us where you live, if you have identified trail opportunities or would like to dive into any of the ones that you see on the map on the screen right now, we are happy to discuss them in more detail.
Is it true that we only have 20 seconds left?
How long did you set it for?
15 minutes. I think that went by fairly quickly.
It sure did.
Mainly because we were helping people get into other rooms.
Right.
We'll see. People, let's just hopefully filter back.
Do you want me to, if we only have a few seconds, stop sharing so you can?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Take back over.
There we go. I hope we didn't catch anyone mid-sentence from their rooms. 15 minutes went by really quickly for us. All right, we've got, all breakout rooms will close in 45 seconds. Can you confirm you can see my screen again? Okay. All right, great. Phenomenal. Good. I see people starting to join. We've got the final countdown. Okay. Oh, too late in the evening. Yes, I'm here all night. All right. little joke. All right. I see people coming back on the screen. I thought I'd reshare this slide for the focus areas because y'all were talking about your neighborhood. So I'm sure there were some great discussions going on. I see some people are still coming back in. So I'll hold for a couple of seconds. Okay. All right. There goes the numbers back up. Phenomenal. Okay. Everyone is back in this main room. And so since we're at 7:20, I want to be cognizant of time and people's evening. So I'll just ask a couple facilitators to give us some highlights from their groups. It won't be Mary because Mary was with me. So Megan, do you want to share any highlights from your group? I'll just ask kind of that general question and you share what you think is great for the rest of the group to know.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. So we had a couple of folks from San Jacinto College and TxDOT in our group. And so we had a good conversation about potential uses, and it sounds like there's some interest in interpretive signage, possibly some overlap with San Jacinto College in terms of service learning and maybe working kind of hand in hand on doing some different things. And it sounds like TxDOT is, including a lot of sidewalks and bike trails in their current projects. So in the future, you know, some of those might be already kind of included with any sort of new roadways that they would be doing.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. And next, I'll just I'll call on Sheila Condon, Focus Group 4. Sheila,
great. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, we had some good input. The people are using the trails that were on our call pretty regularly. One item that came up is maybe they're not very well known, especially that Carpenters Trail that goes from Jean Green to the southern boundary. That trail is popular, but is in pretty big disrepair. So bringing it in and upgrading it and bringing it up to kind of a higher quality level would be welcomed. There was some interest in maybe having different kinds of surfacing, the harder surface being sort of more flexible for many users, but also maybe some secondary softer trails, easier on the body. And then also just making it more visible, looking for some places for access and trailheads to make the trail system more known to residents.
Good point. Thank you so much, Sheila. And I realize I do want to call on Group 1 because there were so many people, I believe, in Group 1. So Spencer, sorry to put you on the spot. I know I said only call on 2, but do you want to give us some highlights from your group, Spencer?
I just received a message from Spencer that his Zoom froze, so we will not receive highlights.
Well, trust that he was recording the notes from people, so that's okay. We will all share notes from the focus groups, from the focus areas after the meeting. You know, this was supposed to be in person, so we were all supposed to gather around a table, and it was going to be much more interactive. So I sincerely appreciate how many people have stayed on with us this full length of time and participated in the focus areas. We really do appreciate it. Your input matters so much to us. And then just ending on this last slide here, we know we talked about some other partners in their projects. So we wanted to just kind of notate all of the contact information here below. But for this study, this link right, Megan, I forgot to click the number on that slide. This email right here is the email to send messages to, and then this link right here, if anyone, Megan or Courtney, want to put it in the chat, either one of these, that would be great, so that people know who to contact. So next steps, we will kind of collect and aggregate input and data from tonight's meeting. As Mary said, we will have a couple more engagements this fall, a series of 3 engagements. We are, paying careful and close attention to, state of things in terms of COVID. So that's presenting a bit of a challenge, but we're glad so many people could join us tonight virtually. We will announce meeting details for future engagements. Everyone who joined this evening or who even registered and didn't attend, they're now part of my email list. I have you. Well, they're actually now part of the Precincts list, mailing list. So you will be on future announcements. So we'll want to make sure what we heard is correct from you. And then, at the end later this fall, kind of present our conclusions and our findings and what we've heard from y'all. So that's kind of general next steps. Again, for our next engagements, you'll kind of, the ways you heard about this meeting is the way you'll hear about the future engagement. So please stay tuned for that series of 3, 1 down, 2 to go. So I think we're done. Megan, do you want to offer any closing remarks on behalf of the precinct?
Just a big thank you for everyone who participated. We definitely want to continue hearing your input. So if there was anything that you didn't get a chance to say this evening, or if you want to be able to see those maps and zoom in a little bit closer and spend some more time with them, please feel free to email us at thecapital.projects@cp1.hctx.net. And we'll be happy to include your feedback, but we do have the additional community meetings that Lisa mentioned coming up as well. So please stay tuned. We really appreciate your attendance tonight and your understanding of the change in location and venue, but please stay tuned and there's more to come.
And so if people would put themselves on camera and wave goodbye, we can all wave goodbye to each other and I can take a screenshot so everyone can see your smile. I know it's late in the day. I know we had a long day, but please do it for me. There we go. There we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. All right. I got it. We did it. That was the hardest thing we did this evening. No, thank you so much again for participating. We appreciate each and every one of you and have a good rest of your night. All right. Bye.
Thanks for letting me join in. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for being here.